where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide, hold me closely to His side. With love and strength for each new day, He will make a way. He will make a way. Oh, God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide, hold me closely to His side. With love and strength for each new day, He will make a way. He will make a way. By a roadway in the wilderness, He'll lead me. Rivers in the desert will I see. Heaven and earth will fade, but His word will still remain. And He will do something new today. Oh, God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide, hold me closely to His side. With love and strength for each new day, He will make a way. He will make a way. By a roadway in the wilderness, You lead me. Rivers in the desert will I see. Heaven and earth will fade, but His word will still remain. And He will do something new today. Oh, God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide, hold me closely to His side. With love and strength for each new day, He will make a way. He will make a way. With love and strength for each new day, He will make a way. He will make a way.
Praise Lord, dear brothers and sisters. What a joy it is to come to the presence of God the first day of this month, October 2024. As we have gathered here to worship God's holy name, let us remember that each month is a new opportunity to experience God's grace, His mercy, and His faithfulness in our lives. Even as we are going to listen God's word, let us open our Bibles to Exodus chapter 16, verse 11 to 15. I have entitled my message as God's provision in the wilderness. God's provision in the wilderness. Let us read this passage together. The Lord said to Moses, I have heard the grumbling of the Israelites. Tell them, at twilight you will eat meat, and in the morning you will be filled with bread. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God. That evening quail came and covered the camp, and in the morning there was a layer of dew around the camp. When the dew was gone, thin flakes like frost on the ground appeared on the desert floor. When the Israelites saw it, they said to each other, "What is it?" For they did not know what it was. Moses said to them, "It is the bread the Lord has given to you to eat." Dear friends, the story of God providing manna for the Israelites in the wilderness, it clearly demonstrates God's provisions in the Old Testament. After the exodus from Egypt, they found themselves in a desert with no food and a long journey ahead. In their frustration and hunger, they doubt God's care in their lives. They started to grumbling against God. They started to murmur against God. But God responded with His grace and mercy by providing food for their life. The story of Israelites help us to understand that God is always there with us. God's provisions are always on our lives. When we grumble against Him, when we doubt His care, when we feel lost, we need to understand God's provisions is always on our lives. Many times we are not perfect to trust God, but God is always faithful to provide for our need. His provision is consistent and His provision is reliable. God's provision is not limited just physical need. Through this story, we can clearly understand God was care about the people of God's spiritual need also. That is the reason Moses says in Deuteronomy chapter 8 verse 3, He humbled you, causing you to hunger, and then feeding you with manna, to teach you that man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. So just as God provided food for the people of God, He is always there to provide for our needs. Many times we feel lost. Many times we go through lackness in our lives. But remember, God is always providing us. His provisions are always there in every day. We may not have anything to live for the day, but remember, the one who is taking care of us is always faithful to take care of our needs. There are several lessons we can learn from here. First, God hears our needs. God hears our needs. Verse 12 says, I have heard the grumbling of Israelites. This clearly shows that God is not distant. He is attentive to hear the needs of His people. Even when they express their anger, their frustration, God is always there for them. Many times we go through spiritual challenges in our lives, physical needs in our lives. But remember, God's provision is always being upon our lives. He will never let His people go down. He will always take care of every one of our needs. Secondly, God provides in His timing. God provides in His timing. Here we can clearly see that God didn't meet their needs immediately. Though these people were grumbling against Him, they were murmuring against God and the leader whom God appointed, but still God didn't take care of their needs immediately. He provided at just the right moment. The quail came in the evening and the manna came in the morning. God's timing is always right. God's timing is always perfect. In our own life, we may feel that we are wandering in wilderness, but remember, God's provisions are on the way. His provisions is always on time. In Matthew chapter 6, verse 25 to 27, Jesus is clearly explaining to us, do not worry about your food. Do not worry about your drink. Do not worry about what to wear. But God will provide at the right time. Do not worry about your tomorrows, because our tomorrow is in God's hand. In other passage in John chapter 11 verse 1 to 44, if you read, here it is talking about the story of Lazarus. The story of Lazarus is one of the most powerful narrative in the New Testament, revealing Jesus' authority over life and death. When Lazarus fell sick, his sisters sent message to Jesus, but Jesus didn't come immediately. Jesus took time, but Jesus came on the right time and He did a miracle. Dear friends, God is never ever late in our lives too. He is always on time. His timing is always perfect. When we see the people of God's life, they were grumbling against God for food and water, but God was on time to provide for their needs. Lazarus was dead, but Jesus was on time to raise him from the dead. Even today, I don't know what kind of situation you are going through. You may be facing the wilderness in your life. You may be going through sickness, difficulties, death situation in your life. But remember, God is always on time. God will never ever delay in your life. What He has to do, He will do it on time. In our sight, it may look like God is delayed. He is late. But He is always on time. His timings are always perfect in our life. Thirdly, what we can learn is God's provision is sufficient for us. God's provision is sufficient. The manna and the quail were enough to satisfy the Israelites' needs. God's provision is always enough for us. Whether it is physical need or spiritual need, His provision is sufficient for us. Sometimes we expect abundance or excess in our lives, but God gives exactly what we need. His provision is sufficient for us. Finally, God provides to reveal Himself. God provides to reveal Himself. The same verse says, verse 12 says, "Then you will know that I am the Lord, your God." Each time God provides to the people of God, He reveals His character. He reveals His faithfulness. He says, "I am the Lord who provides for your need." When we face problem in our lives, God is sufficient for us. And He is going to reveal Himself even in the midst of the problems and the struggles that we face. So keep trusting God and wait on His timing, because His provisions are always sufficient for us. Dear friends, in our own life, we may not literally receive the manna or meat what the people of God received from God. But what we need, God is always there to provide for us. When we get up from the bed in the morning, it's a new day. Some of us, they will get up with lot of eagerness, lot of happiness. But some of us may think what this day is going to bring. Why I have to face this day to experience this bad situation, the circumstances in my life. But remember, God is always there with you. It may look like He is far away, but He is always with you. He is not a distant God, but He is always there to take care of you. Whatever the challenges you may go through, whatever the difficulties you may face, remember to trust in Him. Remember to experience His provision in a supernatural way. May God help us. I just want to close this devotion by giving you few application points. His provision is consistent and reliable. God's provision is not limited to just physical needs, but also for our spiritual needs. God's timing is always perfect. When God provides, it is more than enough in all the areas of our lives. God always hears us. Dear friends, in the wilderness, if God could provide for the people of God, even in our lives, He is able to provide for us. You might have gone through a lot of struggles in your lives, but I pray and believe that God is going to bring new beginning in your life in this month. In the October 2024 is a month of God's provision in your life. God will never ever allow His people to lack anything. Believe that. Receive this word and experience His blessings and provisions in your life. May God bless you. Have a blessed month.